So I think a class that offers a study abroad component can be very beneficial to all students. Myself in particular, I'm a person who learns by doing and being a part of things and seeing, touching, smelling, hearing. So getting the opportunity to go to India very much enriched this course because you can only learn so much in a classroom, and when you take that classroom to real life and see the things you're talking about rather than just seeing videos or pictures or reading about it, immersing yourself in that culture or that lifestyle or whatever it may be, takes that class to the next level and can be very beneficial for the learning process.
I think that with the study abroad component, you can connect on a deeper level to the material, understand it better, and in a broader sense, it's just good to get an idea of culture and that's different from your own, and to see how other people in the world live, and be able to look at something not always through what would normally be the perspective of your country or your culture.
I would say there's numerous benefits to studying abroad within a course, first and foremost, especially when you're learning about the subject and then you go see it in person. It's one thing to learn and sit behind a desk and learn and read stuff, but it's a way different learning experience and curve that you experience actually seeing it in person. And from my experience in travel abroad, we were studying about this one region in France, and the books it said one thing. Then once we got there on the ground level, we saw it's not always what it says in the book. And then more or less there's numerous other factors to it. So being able to see what you learn about in your textbooks in person, and that's a huge thing that not a lot of people get to see and experience in person. In addition to that, traveling abroad, it almost like takes you out your comfort zone in numerous ways. You have to first of all immerse yourself in a culture that you're not a part of, or at least try to. You have to experience new food, and forces you to like get out your comfort zone and be more courageous about what you do. And coming back from that trip, I feel like it also carries with you once you get back home. You realize that you made it somewhere else, not being able to speak a language, and you did fine for how many days or weeks or months or years you were there. And back home, all the stuff that you used to psych yourself out about, be scared about doing, because you didn't think you could do it. You start realizing that it's up to you. Just map it out, and you could just continue on your day and knock these things out like no trouble. And then another benefit of traveling abroad is you just the interaction with different people. Oftentimes when we're at home, we socialize in the same groups, and we don't get different perspectives and different things coming in, feeding into our already kind of like knowledge that we have within ourselves and collective friend group. So being able to travel abroad and interact with people and share your experience with them, and then with you start getting different ways of thinking, and you could either take it or leave it, but more or less it will impact you in some ways, and you learn a lot of stuff that you thought were absolutely true. It's not always true to other people. So ultimately I would say there's tons of great benefits to traveling abroad within a course.
Be there, actually see what's going on, and be immersed in it, which I think makes you feel a lot more strongly about the subject and a lot more knowledgeable, and actually real world experience.
Well, for me, I haven't been outside of the country until, well, except for Canada, which really doesn't count as being outside of the country because it's Canada, until we went to India. So I really had no exposure to any environmental issues outside of the US, and I barely really got any exposure here because everything's so taken care of by MSD, and so I haven't really had that hands-on experience until we went abroad. So I think one of the biggest things is being able to get hands-on experience, but also just being in a completely different culture. I learned a lot about communicating. That was probably the biggest part, was learning how to communicate, especially if I want to do activist work. I have to be able to communicate really well with people that might not speak the same language as me. So I think that was a huge thing, was learning communication and just kind of being able to see the world more clearly than I have here. I don't get out of Cincinnati very often, considering the workload that I have here, but I think just being able to open my mind to what happens on the other side of the planet is just really amazing, and I think that that's probably the most important part of being able to study abroad, is getting to know the rest of the people on this planet, the other billions of people that you would never meet otherwise. So
study abroad really gives you hands-on experience. Like, you can learn everything you want in the class, but until you go out and go in the field and do it, you're not really getting that full aspect. And the culture shock is, I think, would really benefit, especially most people in America, with all these preconceived ideas everywhere that's not here.
I think it's quite a bit different having a course with a study abroad versus just going abroad yourself or with family or with friends, because you're not necessarily immersed in the culture. At least from my experience, you tend to be more doing tourist-related things and leisure-related things. You're not there with a goal like you might be if you're traveling for your career, or traveling because you feel like actually experiencing other cultures. And I think that having a course where you have this component is really much more powerful, or it makes for a much more powerful experience, because then you have access to people who your professors have reached out to, who are from the culture and who are able to help sort of not integrate, but give you a window into the other culture that you might not have without those sorts of connections. I also think that it helps to give you kind of a goal or a reason that you're there, so you will be working towards something rather than just hanging out or taking in the sights, which is something that's good too, but it makes it a much more enriching experience when you're able to actually work towards a goal and you get used to working outside of your comfort zone. Additionally, if you haven't traveled abroad much before, it really serves as kind of a sort of a, not training wheels, but like a good first experience if you have someone who has traveled abroad before with you, who's able to look out for you and make sure you don't do anything too stupid, which, at least going to a different continent like we did, was definitely helpful for me.
Not only is it a benefit to be able to see the different cultural aspects of the world around us, just being able to get a sense of where you came from and the bigger environment, the bigger world, and how you connect with that, but it's a really good opportunity to learn more about yourself, and it's a great opportunity to kind of see how you fit into the world around you and how you can adapt even greater to adjust to the worldviews and see how you can better help the world around you and how you can affect a greater population other than just your immediate neighborhood and your immediate community. And it's really an amazing opportunity to work with people that live so far away and their culture is just so incredibly diverse and different than yours, and to see how that can truly affect you and how when you return, how your life is changed just by seeing how they live differently.
I think study abroad is a great opportunity for students to get out of their comfort zones and to travel the world and see new places, and it kind of gives you a view of how big the world really is, and it also lets you see the humanity and other cultures that we don't get to really see from Cincinnati. I think it's a great experience to just learn new things and put yourself in a new situation and really test yourself and see what you can do.
I feel like study abroad is very beneficial and important because it really kind of opens your mind up a lot, and it challenges you in ways that you would never be able to be challenged by staying here. And especially if you go to a place that's maybe has poverty in any way, and many places do, it really just broadens your perspective on just the scale, the different scale of poverty versus luxury that people can live on, and that really has opened up my mind a lot, and it's something that I think back to almost every day. And it really just changes your mind about a lot of things, and it kind of forces you to learn how to make do if you're not necessarily in the most perfect situation. When you're across on the other side of the world, you don't always have the resources that you have here, and you just got to learn how to be kind of resourceful and manage your way through challenges in more innovative ways.
I really think the list is never ending. There are so many things you can learn. There are so many things you learn about yourself. For us, going to India was such a culture shock that it gave me a whole new perspective on my life and the life of others, and that the world is so large you can never possibly understand what's happening. And I was really culture shocked even after thinking that trying to prepare myself and thinking that I might know what was there. But being culture shocked is such a good benefit for people, because I think it really makes you understand, makes you want to continually learn more about the world around you. And coming home, I was just so thankful for all the things that I had, and it made me more confident and more understanding for what I want to do in journalism, and to be able to have a perspective about other people and their lifestyle and how different it is, so that I could write about it and try to help other people understand who necessarily don't have the opportunity to travel.
I think that the benefit is that you get to apply what you've been learning in the course and actually bring it out into the field. But with the abroad component, I think that it makes everything's new and fresh, so you kind of have a fresh perspective and a fresh view of everything, so you're able to think about things in different ways that you may not necessarily think of them if you were to stay here. And then the other component is that it kind of gives you a chance and an opportunity to see a different part of the world that has a different lifestyle, and it kind of opens your eyes.